people are struggling and looking for answers. God has given you the solution and has called you to leadership. Now it's time to grow and prepare while learning how to use your gifts. Jamal is an experienced leader that uses his gifts to lead change. Now he's sharing what he's learned with you so you can fulfill your leadership assignment. Prepare to be ignited, to lead like a champion. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Igniting Champion Leaders Live. I am your host, Jamal Maxsam, CEO of Lead Like a Champion, an igniter of champion leaders. And my assignment is to ignite leaders and believers to operate in their gifting as they fulfill their leadership assignment. And so today's the day where we get to and we have the opportunity to talk about leadership and how we use our gifts. How do we lead from our faith in the different places and spaces we are assigned? And so those of you who are watching me on my website as well as the various video platforms, I want you to thank you, first of all, for watching and for joining me. I want you to comment, like, share, and save this video so that you can refer back to it while the video is available. So feel free, whichever platform you're on, give me a follow or give me a like or subscribe. Depending on your platform, you're going to want to do one of those things so you can stay connected to the content that's being released. And so I am streaming live as well, simulcasting the live audio to Clubhouse. Thank you so much for the Clubhouse VIP, those of you who are a part of the Igniting Champion Leaders Club, but also those of you who may have just seen this come up in the hallway and jumped into the space. So I appreciate you as well. Make sure that you are sharing the video and commenting in the chat box and sharing it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and all the ways that we can share. All right, so today we're talking about transformational leadership and what it means and how do we really embody what that is. Because a lot of people are being repositioned for their greatness and stepping into different places of leadership, and it's going to cause them to have to bring transformation. A lot of times when we accept a leadership assignment from the Lord and from God, we go into these different places, whether it be a business, a school, or whatever, or even launching something, we end up having to bring transformation. Now, you will hear me say very frequently that in your leadership assignment, you're going to be two things. I have found as I have turned around schools and led in different areas, have led in nonprofit. I currently lead in a church setting. You're going to be doing two things. You're either going to be bringing transformation or you're going to be accelerating transformation that has already occurred. And a lot of times when we step into places, we have to recognize what the assignment is. Are we accelerating progress or are we bringing transformation? And both of those will require something shifting. But how you bring that shift about is determined on your assignment. And so as we talk about transformational leadership, because a lot of people will say, hey, I'm a transformational leader. And so, but let's really dig into what that really looks like. Just because your assignment is to bring change doesn't necessarily mean you're a transformational leader. And so you want to make sure you're able to embody this approach to leadership that will allow you to bring change the most effective way, the most efficient way, and the way that God has called you to bring it. So let's talk about how do we embody this transformational leadership and exactly what it is. Because here's the thing. Many people will believe that transformational leadership is all about changing the system or changing the environment. They'll say something isn't right, the system isn't right, there's some injustice, we need to change, and I need to engage in transformational leadership in order to bring this change to pass. Well, yes, during transformational leadership, you're going to change an environment. You're going to have to change the culture of the place you're leading first in order to use that organization to change the outside culture or the environment. Yes, you're going to have to change the system, but you should always change the culture address the culture before you change your system. I've seen many leaders go into, especially in school settings, go into a setting and want to change the system because they say it's not producing what it should before they change the culture. You want to make sure you change the culture before you change the system, because culture will trump any and every strategy. And so your culture has to be conducive for the systematic changes that you need to make. So you first have to change the culture. In order to change the culture, you have to change the hearts and the perspectives of the people. And then that helps change the culture. Then you change the system. But you have to be strategic in what you do and how you operate in order to change the hearts and the perspectives of the people. And so you have to be strategic in order to emphasize or to implement a strategy. Now, here's a thing about transformational leadership that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about. Transformational leadership has an emphasis on intrinsic motivation and follower development. There is an emphasis on the motivation that's intrinsic versus, hey, if we hit this goal, I'm gonna give you this bonus or get this reward. It's all about emphasizing what's on the inside, what can internally motivate them to engage in the transformational work, but also it emphasizes the development of those who are following you. So as you are looking at changing hearts and changing perspectives, as you address the culture, you have to look at it in a way of their development. And not just, I'm going to give this series of development and then you're going to take it because we're implementing something new. And know that focus on development has to be on helping them grow as an individual and grow in their assignments within your organization while transforming their perspective. And so you want to emphasize their development. Now, there is a formal definition for transformational leadership based on leadership research and all of that. And so let me read that to you and then we'll break it down. Now, I don't want this to sound too super formal, but it says transformational leadership is the process where the leader engages with others. So first of all, let's recognize that transformational leadership is a process. A lot of people would try to say it is a style or whatever, but it's a process. It's a leadership approach that leaders take or have. And so it is a process that in where the leader engages with others. And so transformational leadership is about the process you're using or your strategy for how you actually engage with people. It's more than changing a system, sitting people in the meeting and saying, this is what we're doing. It's how you engage with the people that you're leading and engaging with them in such a way that creates a connection with you and the vision, because people have to be connected to several things. One, as a leader, people need to be connected with you as a leader. They need to feel a connection with the vision of the place you're leading, and they need to feel connected to the culture of the place you're leading. And then they also need community. So they need to feel connected to the people that are around you and the people there that you are leading. And so this transformational leadership talks about creating that connection, but that connection has to raise the level of motivation and morality in those who are leading as well as those who are following. So when you're talking about transformational leadership, it goes deep. It's very deep, because you're talking about using this connection to raise people's sense of morality or people's sense of what's right and wrong. And you're talking about using that, raising that morality or sense of right and wrong and raising their motivation at the same time. So you're changing how they view right and wrong, or you're helping them change how they view right and wrong. And then you are motivating them intrinsically to do something about the wrongs that they now see. All right, so hope you follow me with that. Now, when you change a system, here's the thing. You changing a system may regulate people's behavior because they may follow the process and procedure of that system, but true transformation happens within the heart. My mentor John W. Stevenson says it this way: laws govern behavior; they don't change the heart. And so you can change a system, but that might not necessarily mean that there's going to be actual transformation, because people may either implement the system correctly or incorrectly. People may implement it with fidelity or not. They may implement it and when okay, they may do it when you're around, but when you're not around, they may let stuff slide and not really be consistent. And so for true transformation, you want to deal with the heart of the person, like I've been saying. Because if the heart and the perspective are not changed, then there is a chance, a high probability that the things will return to their previous state. Because the lasting change happens when the people have the heart transformation, because then they stick with what has been changed versus going through the motion and it just being a head thing or a compliance thing. Because when the opportunity comes or when implementing that new thing becomes inconvenient, they will go back to what they've done previously, which is why transformation doesn't necessarily stick. And so you want to make sure to embody this thing, you want to make sure that you're looking at the hearts of people and that you're focusing on the hearts of people and that you use that to then build a culture and then help them to see things the way that God is showing you as a kingdom focused leader, and then implementing the strategy and the systems and putting systems in place to make those things, to make those needed changes or to make right with what's going wrong at the moment. But I will also say this: sometimes transformation needs to happen before things go wrong. So I'm just drop that on you right there. So here are 4 keys that I'm gonna give you to help you embody transformational leadership. So it's more than a buzzword and a fad, because there are different approaches to transformational leadership based on the research. So I'm going to share my 4 keys. Some of them came as a result of me looking at that research, but of course, there are other aspects of transformational leadership, like it involves charisma and some other things, which we can go deeper with in another setting. But let me just give you these 4 things, because as you are being repositioned for greatness, you want to embody these 4 keys so that you can bring the transformation that's needed. Because this greatness is for you to be a blessing to other people and to help make the lives of other people better, which is what leadership is all about. So here's these 4 things, these 4 keys. Number 1, you need to have a clear vision of the future of the place you're leading. And that vision must be clear, and I would say concise and compelling. Your vision has to be clear. If your vision is too long or it takes too much for people to really understand what it is, and if your vision cannot be summed up within a couple of sentences, then it's extremely too long and it's not practical. A lot of people make these paragraph long and page long vision statements, and then they have their vision, their mission, and all of these different things, which is good if you're trying to create a document to get financing or something like that, or for review because you deal with government agencies. But in practicality, you need something that's short, sweet, to the point. Boom, this is what we are about. Boom, this is where we're going. Boom, this is what we need to change, or what we need to do to make that a reality. It has to be clear, concise, and it has to be compelling. Because one of the things about leadership is you recognize while people are extremely rational, they are also extremely emotional. And so before something makes sense in someone's head, it has to, again, strum their heartstrings. And so I'm not saying embellish, but you need to recognize that your vision has to really touch the heart of a person, because because people will respond when something touches their heart before they respond to something touching their head. And so that's a key to leadership. You have to win the heart before you can win the head. So make sure your vision is clear, compelling, and that it touches the heart of the people that you are leading. And then the next key is you have to be a social architect for the place you are leading. And what that means is you have to create some type of container. You have to manage or facilitate a container whereby the new shared values are communicated and expressed. And so the people who are getting into the or buying into the values that you are now sharing as part of the of compelling people to follow that vision, now you have to have some type of social construct or container for those values to be expressed, discussed, and contributed to by those who are leading. So you want to become a social architect, meaning a creator of spaces and a that allows people to have freedom, but also buy into or accept the vision that you have casted. Because casting vision is one thing, people accepting it is another, and you can't be a forced vision. You can't force feed the people because anything you do by force is going to damage your leadership. And so it's all about influence. But of course, there are times when within that influence, you have to exercise authority. Okay. So I'm not talking about that. It's, so let's go to the third key. The third key is this: you must build trust. Okay, trust is a leadership currency that you must build. Remember, trust is built, it is not earned and can never be earned. Because if you get into trying to earn people's trust and doing things to get people to cooperate, or buying breakfasts, buying lunches, and and education, giving out gene days and all of that stuff, people will like what you did. They will enjoy what you did, will thank you for what you did, and even show appreciation for what you did. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have bought into you or the vision. And so you want to move people. You don't want to get into that trying to earn trust, because earning trust is a momentary transaction. And past the transaction, you're going to have to do it again to create another moment. Trust is built moment by moment because of your exchange with them. However, building trust is different because it's done through your consistent actions and your clarity. So when you're talking about building trust, it's about being consistent in what you stand for, being consistent in how you treat people, being consistent in how you communicate, and your clarity that you bring in your communication. And so building trust is different. And so you want to make sure that you are building trust in order to embody transformational leadership, because the trust currency helps people to agree to the vision, even if they don't clearly understand it. All right. So let's go to the fourth key. This is the final one. The fourth key is you want to use what's called creative deployment of yourself through positive self-regard. I know that's a mouthful. I'll say it again. Use creative deployment of self through your positive self-regard. What this means is that you must know your gifts, your strengths, and your weaknesses. And you have to emphasize your strengths instead of focusing on your weaknesses. You must project your positive self in order and yourself in positive lights to the people you're leading when you're talking about leading transformation. Now, I'm not saying you are doing this by the sense of presenting yourself as flawless or perfect, because you don't want to do that. But you present your positive self, meaning you are self-confident in who you are. You are presenting and focusing on your strengths and not your weaknesses. See, a lot of leaders in an attempt to be vulnerable and transparent and real, and I'm using air quotes when I say real, in an attempt to be vulnerable, transparent, and real, they focus on their weaknesses, trying to show everybody it's okay to have weaknesses and flaws. The best way to show those you are leading that it's okay to have weaknesses and flaws is not to dwell on them, but to show grace when people, don't meet a certain standard, or operate from a weakness or have a flaw. You show grace, which means which is the best way to communicate that it's okay, but you also help them, one, give them opportunity to improve those weaknesses or areas of growth, and two, you place them in areas where they can focus in their strengths so that they can be successful and gain momentum from being successful. So you want to help focus on their strengths as well while developing and working on what I call areas of growth. Now, for you as a leader, you have to know what those are for you, and you have to focus on your strengths, your gifting as well, and then while you work on your areas of growth. But make sure you stack your team where their strengths will complement your areas of growth and your strength will complement theirs. That's how you build a highly functioning team. And then you want to make sure, again, if you're emphasizing a weakness, that will send a message of weakness to those you are leading and will damage your ability to build trust and really hurt what I call the trust currency, because no one wants to follow a weak leader, and no one will follow a weak leader into the realms of the unknown or into the unprecedented. It might be unknown, and it might be what people call a blue ocean for you, because you're stepping into something that no one has ever done before, but your degree of confidence will relay a sense of security and confidence on those you're leading. If you're panicking and trying to figure it out and stressed out, then the people you are leading are going to pick up on that, and they're going to begin to panic and wonder if they even need to follow you. So you want to make sure that you are intentional in how you present yourself, and watch it as you may be thinking, well, I'm trying to be vulnerable, I'm trying to let them know it's okay and all of that. You have to be strategic even in that. All right, now I want to give you this one bonus before I end the video. And those of you that are listening live in Clubhouse, feel free to come to the stage after I give this bonus, because I want to hear your thoughts. So the bonus way to embody transformational leadership is this: you must engage in what I identify as presence leadership. And presence leadership is when you allow the presence of God to impact your decision making, the culture that you're building, the climate of where you lead. And it is recognizing that God's presence upon your presence is an igniter of influence. It is when you recognize that spending time with God as a leader is essential, and allowing his presence to be upon you and impact where you go, so that when you are present and interacting with those that you are leading, they will experience something or someone greater than you, and something greater than what they would experience interacting with someone else. Because sometimes you just being there for them says a lot as a leader, but also you being there carrying God's presence on you does more. And it helps deal with the heart. Because remember, I said at the beginning, transformational leadership has a focus on creating a connection that raises the level of motivation and their sense of right and wrong. It has an emphasis on intrinsic motivation as well as their development. So it's the presence of God that can help deal with the heart, even as you're speaking and casting vision. So you want to make sure that you are a leader that seeks God and hears his voice and responds to what he's saying to you, because that is the best way to ensure you are fulfilling your leadership assignment and staying in alignment to bring transformation, and that will last to the place you're leading. All right, so that's it for this week's Igniting Champion Leadership Live video portion. Thank you for joining me. Remember to comment, like, share, save this video, give me a follow, give me a subscribe, whichever your platform you're watching. You want to make sure you do that. I also want to invite you to enroll in Champion University. Enrollment is happening right now to get deeper mentorship in transformational leadership, to not only learn more about the theories of transformational leadership, which I quoted some of them as I was talking, but really how does that apply to you in real life. It's one thing to know a definition, know about the research behind transformational leadership. It's another thing to know how to apply it, but also how to apply it in light of your relationship with God and how He is leading you to be a leader. And so you can learn all of those things in Champion University, where you'll be part of a passionate community of igniting leaders. You'll get mentorship, be a part of strategy sessions, and you have access to courses in the prophetic and leadership as well as in the supernatural, because all of these things are essential to your success as you are leading in your assignment in the place He has sent you. All right, so that's it for this week. I will see you again soon. I want you to be successful and lead like a champion. Bye-bye.